Okay, so what I'm going to do this evening, if I don't have anybody joining, that's perfectly fine. I understand things happen. I'm going to go ahead and cover this anyways. That way you're aware of it. Probably only be about a 10-minute video anyways. So, and then I'll go ahead and put it up in on YouTube for you guys and give you the link. I'll put it in the announcement. So this week you have Unit 6. We're doing the second part of the 3 A's of cybersecurity, of course, authentication, authorization, and accounting. And as you can see, you have your summary, which is the seminar discussion will be what is access control. Thinking about access control, of course, and that's what we're talking about, right? Authorization, giving the control over to the person that's going to be allowed to use it. So authorization and accounting is what you're reading. Some more reading with supplemental readings that you have in your quick labs as well, and a glossary. You have a practice quiz, authorization and accounting, and then you have a graded quiz, authentication, authorization, and accounting quiz. I do have one of the readings that is here that you can go ahead and pull if you want to, PDF version of that one, but you can probably pull it from the area too. It's just something, I try to simplify it a little bit, make it easier for you guys so that you can just grab it from where you're at. So at the end of this week, you should be able to establish levels of authorization and access of users in an organization. Your reading, of course, like I stated, this is up to date, so it should match, unless they have changed anything. It should match everything within there. So authorization, access control methods, access control list, tracking usage and access, which is a big one there. You want to make sure that you're tracking those that are getting in and out, as you know, as they log in and how long they've been there, where they're going, that type of thing. And then your supplemental reading, mobile security methods, authorization, and your glossary as we finish out this module. Your learning, you have one practice quiz, like I stated, and your discussion, access control. What are the basics of access control related to secure systems and networks? What is it? Why is it important for organizations to consider access control and provide examples? And that's a great question. Why is it important for organizations to have access control? So I'll give you an example. When I had the internship, we gave them access through Azure, Microsoft Azure. They could get into the Microsoft applications that we allowed them to get into. So we gave them, we authorized certain sections for them to get into, depending on whether they were a student or an alumni, or if they were leading a group of interns, or interns and student interns. They had certain sections that they could get into. So we give them authorization. We give them the access to that area. And then certain networks. We had an intranet, so it was basically not open to the public, to just general traffic. It was open only to those that could sign into the internship itself, which was a SharePoint intranet that had pages they can get into. But then we had different departments. So even within SharePoint, they had access to only the departments that they were in. So only those people could get into the files that were in those certain departments as well. So why does that make it important for an organization? You don't want to lose things to other departments. You don't want other departments getting into certain departments unless you give them access. You can log in when they've come in, what time they came in, how long they were there, when did they log out. This helped with instructors would come back and they'd say, the student's been missing for 4 days. Did they ever log into our side? Because instructors were separate from the internship. Even though they graded it, they were separate and they didn't log in like we did. So they would ask, was the student there at all? And we'd say, okay, let me check, see when they last logged in. Well, they logged in 24 hours ago, and we have it on here, but they haven't gone to class. So we understand that maybe they're not making the class part of it important. They're making the internship part of it important. So then we know how to relate that. So that's important for that organization that we created to know and be able to let them know of the information that we could provide to them, right? Because we were the ones who gave them access control to our systems, to our networks, to the whole platform that we were using and any applications that we used. And we were be able to provide them specifically, whether they had been attending that course as an overall course itself. So that would help. And I guess that's a big part of access control, right? Other organizations would want the same thing. They want to know who came in. Did they use a key card? Did they use, a key fob or their code, anything like that. It's really important, depending on how secure that company is, of course. So, and then you have a lab this week. Your graded quiz. So basically your grades this week are going to be the seminar, the discussion, and the graded quiz. And I definitely would go ahead and do the practice quiz. It always helps with the graded quiz. I think they're kind of match up just in information-wise in that way too. And then when we go into, and you do not have a journal this week, which is nice. So we get into activities and what you're going to be covering. I will pull up the different pages as they come up too. I want to make sure that I'm going to stay within the areas that you're reading. So let me pull this out to the side here. I can see what it is and not take you too far. Sometimes I go over things that we don't have to do. And I don't want to confuse you guys. So definitely authorization and access control methods. Mobile security methods, which is the one that I did download for, I did print out, made a PDF for you guys to go ahead and look at if you want to print it out and download it for yourself, is here. And of course you have that access to do that same thing right here. Common mobile security threats and challenges, right? Mobile security is funny because I figured my phone was safe. And I haven't had any problems with my phone. I figured it's got to be Android, or even iOS. Has to be much safer than my computer or my laptop, right? Getting into it. But then I come to find out that it's actually has the same issues with security, threats, and challenges, right? Like it's saying that you would have with a desktop version or a laptop, but it happens to you in a different manner, right? It's how you're answering your phishing emails or any kind of malicious content that you might be downloading. And that's what this covers, that it is possible through the messaging that you're getting. We're all getting those messages, right? Like, who are you? I had one the other day and was like, hi, how you doing? I don't know. Who are you? There's no name, just a phone number, and I'm thinking, bye. I'm not talking to anybody that doesn't give me their name first because I'm just not going to go there. It's not that important. If I know you, your number, your name will pop up on that number. And if not, I've already told you, like I tell you guys, give me your name in class so I know who you are and I do answer you. So there is phishing. There is malicious applications and malware that you can get from that. Insecure Wi-Fi and member in the middle attacks. If you have an insecure Wi-Fi to that phone, you're in McDonald's, you're enjoying your meal with your family, and all of a sudden somebody's sitting next to you or behind you, and they've got it wide open, you're wide open, and they're getting into your phone. And maybe they're getting some information from your phone. They're able to get into your account. Who knows what they can do from your phone? That's why we always say, get a VPN, get one set up. I actually set one up for myself. I was getting an oil change for my car, and I was on my tablet at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go to OpenVPN, which we had covered, and I'm going to see if, how well that's going. How does it work? And it was pretty cool, but I was totally lost. I have no idea if it works great or not, if I did the right thing, but I know now I have the OpenVPN on my tablet for security that way, and I can have it as a host, so I can have my kids on that hosting. I can put 3 people on it, so they can host off of that, or they can get their internet from that, and then I can use my phone on that too. So it is something to look into when you get that. And OpenVPN is free. So, something to look into. Poor update habits for devices and apps. Of course, you want to make sure that it's updated. You want to make sure your software firmware, anti-malware, that kind of stuff, your definitions, all those for your is updated, and always, especially the OS itself, make sure it's even if it's Android or iOS, you want to make sure that's always updated. I think iOS does it automatically. I've made it so that my phone does it automatically as well. Screen locks, make sure that you have your screen locks set. Whatever code or security that you use, facial recognition, fingerprint, PIN codes, and patterns. Remote wipes. That's the other thing, is being able to do that yourself as well. If you know that your phone's taken, you can have it wiped from where you are. And also, you can call up, you can find out where your phone is, right? Google does that for you. Find My Phone. If you're using Google, you can find My Phone, which is a great thing that they're using. Actually looked it up for my son. I was like, where's my son? Found him. I don't know if he knows that yet, but I did find him. I just need to know because he is driving my car. So I needed to know where he was. Locator applications, OS updates, definitely definition encryption, device encryptions. You want to make sure that that is covered when you're, using an internet of any style, because your IP, you want that encrypted. Remote backup applications, failed login attempt restrictions, antivirus, anti-malware, and firewalls. And then policies and procedures. Okay, what's going to happen within the organization? There are and always should be policies and procedures, so people can follow that as you're going through those items. You want to make sure that they're following the same rules, right? Even if it's your family, you're going to have those rules when it comes to the network that you've created inside the home, and who they're giving these codes out to, and so if they're, when their friends come over, they're connecting right away. I can tell on my phone, this phone just connected to it, and I can go ahead and say, okay, that's a new one, but their friend just came over. I know it's them, and then I put their name on it, so the next time they come in, I know who connected to that phone or to the internet in my home network, which is a great way to think about it. There's a couple more down here too that you can read about. Top 4 mobile security threats and challenges for businesses. Ultimate guide to mobile device security in the workplace. And what is CIA Triad, which I think we already covered. Then we've got access control video, and then the authorization supplement reading, which Google Docs users hit with sophisticated phishing attack, which was a really great article. Phishing is a really big thing too, and you have to watch because it'll seem like it makes sense. I remember back a while back, there was one that had said, work for us and we pay you so much, and when you do that, I'm supposed to deposit the check and then give them a part of that, and then send them part of the check, which was like a third of what the check was, right? They want to make it look good. And it wasn't the prince from Africa or, anything like that. It was just one getting a job, and we'll pay you so much per hour, so many hours a week, and do this and that. And they had things like, you were actually going to work for them and whatnot. Well, I did it once, and I said, you go ahead. They sent me a check, and I looked at it, and you can see the paper check was it was so fake. And I went to the bank, and I said, is this real? They said, nope, sure isn't. I said, good. Okay, great. And I took it, and I brought it to the police, and I gave them the phone number, and I gave them the emails and everything like that for it. Phishing attacks happen so often, and to so many people that are not aware of what it is. Always, 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 this is part of what it is too, always look at the address of the email, because that's where you're going to find out right away where that came from. Who was it that sent that to you? It should have the same name of the company, if anything, .com or whatever that is, or from the email should have that within that. It shouldn't say, this comes from Verizon, but it's coming from Jolly Green giant dot, at seminole.com or whatever. It shouldn't say something completely different. I mean, I just picked out whatever words I could find at that point for that one. But you know what I mean? It's like that address should make sense for the company that is writing to you about what it is. So keep that in mind. Then you have access control list, and then tracking usage access. You have a practice quiz, and then Rob is going to talk about important skills in security. You have the glossary, and then you're finished with the graded quiz, authentication authorization. So I have a lot of these other ones. I don't know where these came from. I have a bunch of other documents, but I don't think that they go to Unit 10. They must go to the last unit. But other than that, that is what we've got for this week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Thank you, and have fun doing the second half of your course term. Hope you guys are doing well, and have a great night and rest of your week. Thanks, everybody.